Picture this. You just found $20 on the ground. What's your first instinct? Most people would think about what to buy with it. Maybe a fancy coffee, some snacks, or that thing they saw on Amazon last week. But here's the plot twist that separates future millionaires from everyone else. They think about how to make that $20 work for them instead of against them. Today we're diving into why budgeting isn't just some boring spreadsheet exercise your parents nagged you about, but actually the secret weapon that transforms regular people into investment superstars. And don't worry, I promise to make this more entertaining than watching paint dry. Let's start with a brutal truth that nobody talks about at dinner parties. Most people have their financial priorities completely backwards. They're like someone trying to build a skyscraper on quicksand, then wondering why everything keeps falling apart. They jump straight into investing without understanding the basics of managing money, which is like trying to run a marathon when you can barely walk to the mailbox without getting winded. Here's what typically happens in real life. Someone reads about Bitcoin making people millionaires overnight, or they hear their coworker bragging about making a killing on some stock tip. Suddenly, they're convinced they need to start investing immediately. They scrape together whatever spare change they can find, maybe even put it on a credit card because, hey, they're going to be rich soon anyway, right? Then reality hits harder than a sledgehammer. The market goes down, they panic, sell everything at a loss, and end up worse than when they started. It's like watching someone try to perform brain surgery after watching one episode of a medical drama. The real secret that wealthy people know but rarely share is this. Budgeting is actually the foundation of all wealth building. It's not glamorous, it doesn't involve complicated charts or mysterious financial jargon, but it's absolutely essential. Think of budgeting as learning to walk before you try to dance. You might look silly taking baby steps, but at least you won't faceplant in front of everyone. Now, before you click away thinking this is going to be another lecture about cutting out your daily coffee to save money, let me tell you why this approach is different. We're not talking about living like a hermit who eats nothing but ramen noodles and never has any fun. That's not sustainable. And frankly, what's the point of having money if you're miserable? Instead, we're going to learn how to create a system that actually works in the real world, with real temptations and real expenses. The first thing you need to understand about budgeting is that it's not about restriction, it's about awareness. Most people have no idea where their money goes each month. They're like someone driving with a blindfold on, then wondering why they keep crashing into things. When you start tracking your spending, you'll probably be shocked at where your money disappears. Those little purchases here and there add up faster than you can say bankruptcy. Let's talk about the psychology behind this. Every dollar you spend is essentially a vote for the kind of life you want to live. When you buy that expensive coffee every morning, you're voting for convenience and short-term pleasure. When you put that same money towards savings, you're voting for future freedom and security. Neither choice is inherently right or wrong, but most people make these votes unconsciously, without considering what they're really choosing. Here's where things get interesting from an investment perspective. The money you save through smart budgeting isn't just sitting around doing nothing. It becomes your investment ammunition. Every dollar you don't waste on unnecessary expenses is a dollar that can potentially grow into $5 or $10 through the magic of compound interest. It's like having a money-making machine, but you need fuel to run it. The biggest mistake people make when starting their investment journey is thinking they need a lot of money to begin. They imagine they need thousands of dollars before they can start investing, so they keep putting it off indefinitely. Meanwhile, they're spending money on things that decrease in value while waiting for the perfect moment to start building wealth. It's like waiting for the perfect weather to start exercising, then wondering why you never get in shape. Smart budgeting helps you identify what I call money leaks. These are the small, recurring expenses that drain your wealth without providing significant value. Maybe it's subscription services you forgot you signed up for, eating out when you have perfectly good food at home, or buying things on impulse that end up collecting dust in your closet. These money leaks might seem insignificant individually, but they can add up to hundreds or even thousands of dollars per year, and $600. Now, if instead of spending that money, they invested it in the stock market with an average return of 8%, after 30 years, they'd have over $200,000. That's the power of redirecting your spending through smart budgeting. The key to successful budgeting is creating what I call spending categories with purpose. You need to know exactly how much money is coming in and where it's going out. This isn't about becoming obsessive or counting every penny, but about having a clear picture of your financial landscape. It's like having a GPS for your money instead of wandering around lost. Most financial experts recommend some version of the needs versus wants budgeting approach. Your needs are things you absolutely require to survive and function in society. We're talking about housing, basic food, transportation, healthcare, and minimum debt payments. Everything else falls into the wants category, and this includes a lot more than you might initially think. The tricky part is being honest about what's actually a need versus what's a want. For example, you need clothes, but you don't need designer clothes. You need food, but you don't need to eat at restaurants 5 times a week. You need transportation, but you don't need a brand new luxury car. The wealthy understand this distinction and make conscious choices about when to spend on wants versus when to redirect that money toward building wealth. Here's where budgeting becomes the gateway to successful investing. Once you have a clear picture of your income and expenses, you can identify how much money you have available for savings and investment. This is your wealth-building ammunition. Without proper budgeting, you're essentially trying to fill a bucket with holes in it. No matter how much money you make, it all leaks out through poor spending decisions. The connection between budgeting and investing success goes even deeper than just having money available. Good budgeting habits develop the discipline and patience required for successful long-term investing. The stock market goes up and down, sometimes dramatically, and investors who panic and sell during downturns typically lose money. But someone who has developed the discipline to stick to a budget for months or years has already proven they can delay gratification and stick to a long-term plan. Smart budgeting also helps you understand risk tolerance in a real way. When you know exactly how much money you can afford to invest without jeopardizing your basic needs, you can invest with confidence instead of fear. You're not gambling with money you need for rent or groceries. This psychological foundation is crucial for making rational investment decisions instead of emotional ones. Let's talk about the practical steps for creating a budget that sets you up for investment success. First, you need to track your current spending for at least a month. This isn't about judgment, it's about awareness. Write down every expense, no matter how small. You might be surprised at where your money is actually going. Next, categorize all your expenses into needs and wants. Be ruthlessly honest about this. That premium cable package with 300 channels you never watch? That's a want. The gym membership you haven't used in 6 months? Also a want. This exercise helps you see where you have flexibility in your spending. Once you understand your spending patterns, you can start optimizing. Look for easy wins first. Maybe you can cancel unused subscriptions, switch to a cheaper phone plan, or start cooking at home more often. These changes might seem small, but they free up money for more important purposes, like building your investment fund. The goal isn't to eliminate all enjoyment from your life. Instead, you want to be intentional about your spending. If you love going to concerts, budget for that and cut back on something else you care less about. If fancy coffee brings you joy, keep buying it, but maybe pack your lunch instead of buying it. The key is making conscious trade-offs rather than mindless spending. As you optimize your budget, you'll start to see money becoming available for savings and investment. This is where the magic happens. Even small amounts invested regularly can grow into substantial wealth over time thanks to compound interest. Someone who invests just $50 per month starting at age 25 could have over $300,000 by retirement, assuming average stock market returns. The beauty of starting with budgeting is that it creates a sustainable foundation for wealth building. You're not relying on getting-rich-quick schemes or hoping for windfalls. You're building wealth systematically through disciplined saving and investing. This approach might not be as exciting as day trading or cryptocurrency speculation, but it's far more reliable. Here's another crucial point about the relationship between budgeting and investing. Good budgeting helps you avoid the number one mistake that destroys investment returns: having to sell investments at the wrong time. If you don't have an emergency fund and proper budget management, you might be forced to sell your investments during a market downturn to cover unexpected expenses. This turns temporary market declines into permanent losses. The wealthy understand that cash flow management is just as important as investment returns. They maintain adequate emergency funds, live below their means, and only invest money they won't need for several years. This patience and preparation allows them to ride out market volatility and benefit from long-term growth. Let's address the elephant in the room. Many people resist budgeting because they think it will be restrictive and joyless. But here's the paradox. Proper budgeting actually gives you more freedom, not less. When you know exactly where your money is going and have a plan for it, you can spend on things you value without guilt or worry. You can invest with confidence, knowing you're not jeopardizing your financial security. The key to making budgeting sustainable is building in flexibility and rewards. If you try to create a budget that's too restrictive, you'll eventually rebel against it, just like someone who tries an extreme diet. Instead, build in some money for entertainment and spontaneous purchases. The goal is progress, not perfection. As your budgeting skills improve and you start consistently saving money, you can begin exploring investment options. Start with simple, diversified investments like index funds, rather than trying to pick individual stocks. The habits you've developed through budgeting will serve you well as an investor. You'll be more patient, disciplined, and focused on long-term results, rather than getting caught up in short-term market noise. One of the most powerful aspects of combining budgeting with investing is the psychological momentum it creates. As you see your investments growing, it reinforces the value of your budgeting efforts. You start to see money not just as something to spend, but as a tool for building future wealth and freedom. This shift in mindset is often the difference between people who build substantial wealth and those who live paycheck to paycheck regardless of their income level. The final piece of the puzzle is understanding that budgeting and investing are skills that improve with practice. Your first budget won't be perfect, and your first investment choices might not be optimal. That's okay. The important thing is to start and keep learning. Each month of budgeting gives you better insight into your spending patterns. Each year of investing teaches you more about risk and returns. Remember, becoming wealthy isn't about making one perfect decision or finding some secret strategy. It's about consistently making good decisions over a long period of time. Budgeting teaches you to make those good decisions with your day-to-day money management, while investing allows those good decisions to compound into real wealth. The path to investment success doesn't start with complex financial instruments or market analysis. It starts with understanding and controlling your own money flow through smart budgeting. Master this foundation first, and everything else becomes much easier. Your future wealthy self will thank you for taking the time to learn these basics before jumping into the exciting world of investing. So, next time you find money on the ground or get a bonus at work or have any extra cash, remember this conversation. The question isn't what you can buy with it right now, but how you can use it to buy your future freedom. That's the mindset shift that separates successful investors from everyone else, and it all starts with a simple budget.